Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Zing Yugioh deck profile for October 2022. I've always loved the Zing deck. It's probably one of my favorite worm type decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, focusing on special summoning out a bunch of different Zing monsters, whether they're destroyed by battle or card effect, and then being able to use those different monsters to synchro summon out the many different Zing monsters. The Zings have been used for other worm decks, including Sword Soul, as one of just another synchro option to use for those decks, but I wanted to go for more of a version that focuses on the Zing monsters and some of the other options you can use for destroying those Zing monsters. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck. For the Zing monsters, I am running 3 Yugioh Darkness of the Zing. This has the destruction effect like many of the Zings have when they're destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon one Zing monster from your deck except for the monster of choice. So being able to special summon another Zing except for Yugioh gives you options for the many different monsters we run. And Yugioh has another additional ability where you can discard 2 Zing cards to special summon 2 Zing monsters with 0 attack and 1 Zing monster with 0 defense from your deck, but banish them during the end phase. But you're going to use them for resources on the field, but this card just helps with so many play setups in the deck that you definitely want to run 3 of them, because as long as you have those other Zing cards to discard, you have 2 more monsters to easily get onto the field, not even using any of the destruction plays. I also run 3 Chuen, Light of the Zing, when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, having the same special summon option. And also, when a Zing monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to your graveyard while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. And if you do, banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use 1 Chuen, Light of the Zing effect per turn, and only once that turn. So if you discard Chuen off of Yugioh, you at least have the special summon of this card back onto the field, making it so you have that resource to use as just an additional tuner monster on the field also. I also run 3 Bixie Water of the Zing. Some of the Zings also give additional card effects to these synchro monsters that they're used for. With Bixie, you have an option with this card for all the synchro summons of the special summon effect, and a synchro monster using it is unaffected by trap effects, so you can protect it from trap effects. But I run 3 Bixie more for the fact that the level 2 monster definitely does come up for more of an adjusted monster to use with many of the other synchro monsters we run in this deck, whether it helps to build up to a level 8 synchro or any of the other combos using those other monsters we run. And I also run 3 Zefranyu of the Zing. This one has the same playstyle option with it, and also having a pendulum card effect of when it's pendulum summoned or when it's destroyed by battle or card effect in your monster zone. You can add 1 Zing or Zephyr spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So being able to add a card to your hand just makes it all the better for your back row setup, or even our recycle power if we were to add Zing Path to our hand, or add 9 Pillars of the Zing and have a card negate on the field also. For some of the lower numbers for the Zing monsters that I run 1 Tauti, Shadow of the Zing for the level 5 option, 1 Pulao, Wind of the Zing for the level 1 Beyond, Earth of the Zing for the level 3, and 1 Suwani, Fire of the Zing. So you have all these different options for the special summoning, and Suwani and Beyond and also Tauti have the attack and 0 defense play to search off of for Yugioh, while Pulao has the 0 attack and defense like your Bixie and Zefranyu. So you have more of a balanced option with these cards for the attack plays to then search out and use in the deck. And then for the additional monsters, for helping with the destruction, because otherwise you'd just be going off of your opponent for the destruction of your Zing cards, I run the Metal Foes engine. I've always been a fan of the Metal Foe cards for destroying your Zing cards and then getting more setup for you to complete your Pendulum Scale. So I run 3 Volflame and 3 Gold Driver, along with the cards having the search power of once per turn. You can target one other face-up card you control, destroy it, and set 1 Metal Foes spell or trap directly from your deck. So you have these cards for those plays, but also for setting up a pendulum scale, because once again, if you pendulum summon cards like your Zefranyu onto the field, you have the search off of this card as well. And additionally, I run 1 Metal Foe Silvered and 1 Steelin, so you just have the 8 number combo. I find plenty enough to at least have the chance of opening one of them up into your hand for you to use. And that is it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 copies of Yangzing Path. You target 3 Yangzing monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Yangzing Path per turn, so it's recycle power. You have the drawback, but also since it does have Yangzing in its name, if you do open it up early game and you have Jiaotu on the field, you can always discard it for this card, since you just have to discard 2 cards are Yangzing. They don't have to be monsters for the discard cost, so you have this option available to you. I also run 3 Fury of Karyushin. You add 1 Torrential Tribute from your deck to your hand, and if a water monster you control will be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So this really doesn't pop up often. The only water monster we run in the main deck is Bixie, so you do have the option available to you when this card's on the field, but more times you do want your cards to be destroyed by card effects, so with Torrential Tribute, you get the special summon of your Yangzing monsters, but still able to clear out your opponent's board on the field also. And then the only other spell I run is just the 1/1 for another option of setting up cards in the graveyard, but also being able to special summon out our Chuin onto the field to have that additional tuner. You have the option to also search and special summon out your Pulao, but it happens more often where you want the Chuin over anything else. And then moving on now to the traps, I run 2 9 pillars of the Yangzing. When a spell or trap or monster effect is activated and you control a Yangzing card, negate the activation. If you do, shuffle that card into the deck and then destroy 1 other Yangzing card you control. So you'll shuffle back your opponent's card, but still gain the effect of your Yangzing if it was destroyed on the field. And if it was cards like Zafranyu, you can get another search. If it was a Yangzing monster, you can get a special summon of that card. Very, very useful for that destruction to special summon just more and more monsters onto the field. And I also run 2 Yangzing Creation. Once per turn, if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Yangzing monster from your deck. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for synchro monsters. But really, you aren't locked into this because we run the Metal Foe card. So while this card's face up on the field, you can at least use one of your Pendulum Scale Metal Foe cards to destroy this card if need be, to search out the other Metal Foe card we run, which the only search we run for the Metal Foe spell and traps is Metal Foe's Combination, because then you can also destroy this card with your Boxia, Brightness of the Yangzing, to complete your Pendulum Scale for your Metal Foe pendulums on the field, while still being able to set up the combination on the field also to keep those resources going. With the last trap that we run in the deck just being the 3 Torrential Tributes, so you have the more destruction option and board clearing play for going up against your opponent. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 Boxia, Brightness of the Yangzing. It needs 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner worm monster. When it's synchro summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of different original attributes of worm monsters used for this card's synchro summon, and shuffle them into the deck. And once per turn, you can target 1 card you control and 1 level 4 lower monster in your graveyard. Destroy that card, and if you do, special summon the other monster from the graveyard. So the destruction of your Metal Foe's Combination will get you back a Yangzing monster on the field, while still giving you the search to complete your Pendulum Scale. And you're not locked into any plays with Boxia on the field, so you can even Pendulum summon out your other cards using it if you did. I also run 1 Yazi and 1 Xiaofeng of the Yangzings for the level 9 option and then the level 7 option, while Yazi also gives you a destruction play of a Yangzing monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls. And when it's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon a worm monster from your deck in defense position, keeping those resources going, and Xiaofeng shutting down different attributes on the field depending on the ones you used for its summon also. For the other synchro monsters I run 1 Trishula. I said Trishula, but I jumped ahead of myself there. This is Borreload's Savage Dragon, and this is Trishula. So you have all of those boss monster synchro options available to you, along with Baron de Fleur. If you don't have Baron de Fleur, you can always put Leo, Keeper of the Forest, as another card to use. Also 1 Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth, for more special summon plays back onto the field. And 1 FA, Dawn Dragster, and 1 Herald of the Arclight. So we have all the synchro plays available to us with all the many special summons also, with our Link monsters being 1 Link Karibo for the level 1 monsters and graveyard setup for Chuan again, 1 Beyond the Pendulum, since we do run a good number of them, to set up and search in the deck, and also 1 Cross Sheep for the synchro plays, and 1 Underclock Taker, and 1 Boral Sword Dragon to finish off the Link monsters. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, one of my favorites still revolves around Jiaotu. So if you summon out your Jiaotu, Darkness of the Yang Zing, and you have the 2 cards to discard in your hand that are Yang Zing. Once again, they just have to have Yang Zing in the name, so if you discard them to your hand, you can then get your special summon. So you can go for your special summon of your Zefranyu, and then the other one has to have an attack on the field. So it has to have one with 0 attack and one with 0 defense. So you can summon out either your Suwani Beyond or your Tauti onto the field. I'll go with the Suwani for this play, because then you can use the Zefranyu and the Jiaotu for your synchro play, summoning out your Boxia onto the field. And with it, you use the 2, you set up the Jiaotu in the graveyard. You may also have the Chuen, if you were lucky enough to get that off of the discard, in the graveyard as well. You can then target the Suwani for the destruction special summon, destroying Suwani, and then being able to special summon a Yang Zing monster from your graveyard back onto the field. So with that, you can then special summon Jiaotu back onto the field, activating Chuen since it was destroyed as well, and activating your Suwani, being able to special summon another Yang Zing monster from your deck to the field because of it. So then you'll have that resource depending on which one you want to summon in defense. You could then go for that additional synchro play using your summoned monster of choice to go for one more additional synchro monster, and then having that play to use can give you one more option using the Chuen on the field, or even going for the Link play. The Chuen will be banished as well, remember that, and setting up one additional Link monster on your field also. As for some of the other plays that revolve around the Metal Foes cards, if you have at least one Yang Zing monster and your Metal Foes monster, you can set the scale with your Metal Foes card, then summon out your Yang Zing, targeting it with your Metal Foes to destroy it, and then you will set the Metal Foes trap, which is combination. Activating the Yang Zing card as well will give you a resource onto the field. So with that card, you can have your summon. If you're lucky enough and you have 2 other Yang Zing cards in your hand, you can summon out Jiaotu and do the same combo before, getting your 2 monsters out, going for the synchro play. The only difference this time, though, if you have your Zefranyu that you used off the special summon of Jiaotu in your extra deck, you can destroy the combination with your Boxia to get the additional special summon from your graveyard back onto the field, but then also use the play of combination to search out another Metal Foes card to then activate and set in the scale to then be able to pendulum summon out your Yang Zing monster. And when you special summon out your Zefranyu, or when it's destroyed, you get that search, having a negation on the field, but still also being able to go for one more additional synchro using those 2 monsters and your extra deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, Yang Zings are one of my favorite, and combining them with the Metal Foes, I find to be one of the more fun versions of this deck to utilize as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.